Hello, I'm Valérie Perret. I'm a wellness facilitator, and as a qualified nutritionist, I'm coaching women over 40 so they gain control over their diet and lifestyle to overcome symptoms and discomfort from perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause, so they can start to live an active and productive life again. So my passion is to share the therapeutic value of food, fast, and mindfulness. And today is about some domesticated bug, aka fermented food. And we will see how our gut actually impacts us a lot more than we think. And how it's easy to ferment yourself some food and how powerful it is to have some on your plate regularly for overall health. So let's start. We know that the gastrointestinal tract is full of trillions of bacteria. Actually, we have 2 to 3 kilos of this organism in our body, and they function a little bit like an organ. They not only help us digest food, they also maintain the correct pH to keep pathogens at bay. They maintain our gut lining healthy, but they also regulate our immune system, produce neurotransmitters, produce vitamins such as B12 and vitamin K, and they even have a role in mood regulation and body weight management. So what is important to notice is every microbiome is unique, and that a diverse microbiome is a sign of health. That the diversity is a sign of health. In unhealthy people, we see less diverse microbiome with more gram-negative bacteria. And these gram-negative bacteria, they produces endotoxins called lipopolysaccharides. And these lipopolysaccharides promote inflammatory pathway in your cells. So once one of the bacteria or the fungal strain is out of balance, it affects the way the rest of the good bacteria can work. So what's happening is that changes in our microbiome influences things outside the gut big time. This is where the gut-brain immune axis steps in. The gut and brain communicate through different medium, vagus nerve directly or indirectly through the endocrine system, the gut hormones, and the neurotransmitters. So many of hormones and neurotransmitters are actually made in your gastrointestinal tract by your own gut microbes. So it may be interesting to ask yourself the question if in fact we do control our thoughts and emotions, or is it the bacteria in our gut that do that? And it's probably both. So how do you know your gut microbiome is in balance? In many ways, actually, and in many ways that are commonly seen nowadays. There is a lot of disorders that are connected in some ways with what we call dysbiosis, which is microbiome imbalances, such as anxiety, lower resilience to stress, insomnia, depression, as well as the more obvious digestive symptoms such as bloating, heartburn, burping, abdominal pain, excess gas, etc. So definitely worth taking care of our bugs. Because I don't know if you know, but at the moment, 1 in 7 Australians are currently suffering from an anxiety condition, and 1 in 5 are experiencing irritable bowel symptoms. That's huge. So it's worth turning to our gut microbes and see what we can do to prevent or to improve these conditions. So we know diet high in sugar and soft drinks feed fungal colonies in our guts, such as Candida. We know that diet high in saturated fat promotes these gram-negative bacteria that produce the endotoxins, and that in turns our inflammatory genes on. So with these unbeneficial fungi and bacteria, our gut are good bugs that do struggle to survive. So what can we do to keep your microbes in balance? There is many things you can do, such as ingesting omega-3 fatty acid, managing stress, exercise, moderate exercise, or taking probiotics. But the main thing you can do 3 times a day is to accommodate your diet to feed your gut microbiomes. So basically, what you eat and what you drink every day impact directly the composition of your microbiome. And one of the things that is easy to implement in and that our culture has completely lost track over time is fermented food. So fermented food, they are high in this gram-positive bacteria. And what does this gram-positive bacteria is they activate our cellular defenses that control inflammation. And it happens really quickly. In 20 days, your pannate cells of your gut lining that rely on good bacteria to function well, they are regenerated completely in 20 days. So these cells, they are involved in your immune response, and they also protect other cells from pathogenic bacteria. And that's just one kind of cell in your gut lining. So if we talk about the practicality of supporting your gut health and in turn improving your mood and your immunity through fermented food. So it's very difficult to buy quality fermented foods. This is because many products on the shelf, they are heated to prolong their shelf life, which kills the bacteria. So you lose the therapeutic effect of the food. So even yogurt, which is the most commonly consumed fermented food, can be problematic because most of the yogurt you buy at the supermarket do not contain much probiotics, and they're also packed with sugar. Fortunately, there are many probiotic food and beverages that you easily ferment at home for a very small cost, and you don't generally need much with each meal. So it's really important actually to start slow and to increase fermented food over time, because what will happen is the beneficial bacteria will take over the non-beneficial one, and when the non-beneficial ones will die, that's when they will produce more of this endotoxin I've talked about earlier, and it can create what we call an healing crisis. So if you want to avoid symptoms, you simply start slowly. So what's happening is when you do ferment your food at home, the process of fermentation yields thousands of beneficial bacteria for your gut. In fact, your own environment condition change over time. So that results in an ever-changing population of microbes. And it's a great advantage because your gut ecosystems respond well to diversity. You remember, health is diverse, it is linked to diversity of your microbiome. So, sorry, let's talk about the first thing you can do. First, you can start to ferment vegetables. And the more common are sauerkraut and kimchi. However, most of sauerkraut on the supermarket shelves, they are eaten. So the only way to get the full benefit is by making your own. All fermented vegetables above good bacteria, they're also good sources of vitamin A and C. So to ferment your vegetable, you use salt, and salt and water will react with the bacteria naturally present around the vegetable and will create brine, and the vegetable will ferment on the brine. So what does the salt is control the pathogens. As an example, and it has amazed me when I did prepare this talk, is where a probiotic supplement will give 2 strains and 25 billion live organisms per capsule. Just a small serve of 25 grams of kimchi will provide the same amount of microbes, roughly 25 billion, but will provide over 150 types of microbes instead of 2. So when you think that diversity of the microbiome population is what influences positively your gut ecology, it's worth starting fermented food. The second fermented food I'm talking about today is kefir. Kefir is a lacto-fermented drink. It's made from grains you can see on the photo. It looks like a little bit of a cauliflower, but you can also make from a dehydrated starter you can find in health food stores. And with the starter, you do around 7 batch. So it can be made also with water, but the traditional kefir is made on milk. It contains thousands of bacteria, lactobacilli, streptococci, entecocci, bifidobacteria, yeast, all beneficial bacteria, and definitely more types of beneficial microbes than yogurt. And as well, the microbes in the kefir, they also produce a prebiotic that feed your beneficial bacteria. So it works. So it provides your ecosystem with bacteria, beneficial bacteria, but it also provides your system with some food for your beneficial bacteria that are already there. Kefir, same, is really simple to prepare. You use milk and you mix with the grain. It will give you a product that is similar in taste and texture than a thin yogurt. And you can enjoy it plain, in smoothies, drinks, salad dressing, etc. And what is important to know is that the process of fermentation partially breaks down lactose and digests casein, the main protein found in milk. So it makes kefir more tolerable than many other dairy products for people who are sensitive to milk. If you can't tolerate milk at all, non-dairy kefir can be made by using some fresh coconut water or coconut milk, but it's a little bit much lower levels of probiotic organism than dairy kefir. And the last thing is kombucha. This is what I'm currently experimenting with great joy and good fun. This is on the photo, the kombucha, my kombucha of the week. Kombucha is a fermented tea beverage made from tea sugar and what we call SCOBY, a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. So in that case, the SCOBY turns the sugar into lactic acid. The fermentation process is quite quick because it happens over 3 to 10 days. But above all the beneficial bacteria, kombucha is also rich in polyphenol, in minerals, in antioxidants, and the probiotics are really specific in kombucha. The fermentation process of the tea also produces butyric acid, which is a cell membrane protector. So it protects your cell. So what you do, you prepare some black tea, you add the sugar, you add the SCOBY, you wait for a week. Then you put the liquid into a bottle, you wait for another 2 to 3 days for the fizzy things to happen, and you just have to enjoy. So it's quite quick. So in conclusion, one of the best things you can do for your health is to include fermented food on a daily basis on your plate. Preferably use different varieties of fermented food so you gain access to different types of bacteria. And don't forget to adopt a diet that feeds this organism. Yours in health and wellness.